Lesson 7, Basic Project Making. What is a breadboard? A breadboard is a rectangular plastic box with tiny sockets or holes. It is where electronic circuits are temporarily assembled, since electronic components can be easily plugged in and disconnected. A breadboard is not just plain plastic with holes. Inside a breadboard are strips of metal constructed such that all holes in the same column are permanently electrically connected, with no link across the center. The top and bottom rows are linked horizontally. Shown here is the contact pattern inside a breadboard. Usually, the rows are where you connect the ends of a battery. Jumper wires, which are wires stripped at their ends, are used to make connections. For example, let's consider constructing this old simple circuit on a breadboard. The switch named S1 should be connected to the battery as shown. It can be directly plugged into the top part where we are to connect the battery. The bulb then can be put in any of the holes here, as the other leg can't reach the bottom. A jumper wire shall be used to complete the connection. If the project demands that there should be a buzzer across the bulb, then it can be easily added to the working circuit. Printed circuit board. After a circuit works fine on a breadboard, it is then transferred permanently on a printed circuit board, or PCB. Using a hot iron to melt a solder wire or a soft metal alloy wire, components are securely attached on the board. The copper traces serve as conductors that connect components together. For instance, the only ones attached to the positive terminal of the battery are these components, as reflected in the copper trace. Measuring instruments. To know that your circuit design works, it is important to have measuring instruments. One basic measuring instrument used in electricity and electronics is the multimeter. A multimeter can be a voltmeter, which measures volts. It can function as an ohm meter, which measures ohms. It can also be an ammeter, which measures amperes. Some multimeters, however, have 3 sockets in which only 2 probes can be inserted. Usually people use the black probe to act as the common and will always be fixed in that position. The red one, however, is a little different. It is important to follow the label when switching from one meter to another. Thus, if the voltmeter or ohm meter is used, the red probe should be inserted here. Whereas, if it's the ammeter, then the probe should be inserted here. To test a voltage across the device, or across a resistor for example, simply attach or clip the probes of the voltmeter parallel to the component being tested. It is important for measuring instruments not to alter the behavior of the circuit. Thus, voltmeters have internally high resistance, as connecting a high resistance device across anything is like connecting nothing, basically acting as air. To measure a current, on the other hand, the ammeter must be inserted in a branch where the current to be measured is flowing. As a measuring instrument, it must also not alter the behavior of the circuit, so it is important for ammeters to have very low resistance as opposed to voltmeters, basically acting as a normal wire. Lastly, ohm meters are used to measure resistance across the component or network of components. They are often used to check for short and open circuits. And usually, whenever there is a short, the meter's built-in buzzer makes a sound for easy troubleshooting.